Hello and welcome to 1-2 Simplifying Polynomials Expressions. So go ahead, make sure you have paper, pencil, write down our title on the top of your paper. Write today's date and your name, that top right hand corner, so name and date. And remember, throughout this video you can push pause whenever you need to. So if you're still writing that title, you can always push pause now, get that information written out, and push play when you're ready. As always, below our title, we have our learning target. So this is, I am learning to add, subtract, and multiply polynomials. So today we're just going to focus on this addition, subtraction. We'll come back to multiplying later. Now, we are going to start off with making a little bit of a table to help us remember some parts about polynomials. So we have name in our first column, and then a big spot for the rule in your second. So like I said, push pause now. Make your table, one small column with name, one large column with rule. Our very first part that we're going to look at says combine like terms, CLT for short. But before we dive right into that, we have to remember that like terms are terms with the same variables So remember, like, your variables are just like your x, y, dot, 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 anything other than the other letters, a, b, c, all those. Those same variables with same exponents. And it's that little number up at the top. So like terms are same variables with the same exponents. So for combining like terms, so CLT, we can only add, hopefully you start off with an A instead of a D like I did. There you go. You can only add or subtract like terms. So we can only add or subtract like terms. Now, big note we have to make when we're combining like terms also is that we add or subtract coefficients which is the number in front of your term, only. And the reason why I stress this is because some people, when we like to add the exponents as well, they don't. The exponents just hang out there, they stay the same. So when we combine like terms, we are only going to add or subtract the number in front. So we're going to add or subtract the coefficients alone. Just that. Now, one thing just to kind of make a note about is that answers are arranged in ascending order for some practice tests and assessments. So like on the ACT and the CODI and all those type of tests, they will have the highest variables exponents first, and then they'll go down to the lowest. So for us today, it doesn't matter, but be aware that on assessments, they will reorder your terms in order from the highest exponent to the lowest. Now, when it comes to adding polynomials, we're just going to make ourselves a note that we're going to drop down first parenthesis. And second parenthesis, just as they are. Then combine like terms. CLT. Then combine like terms. Now the next part we're going to look at is subtracting polynomials. So for subtracting polynomials, our step 1's the same. We're still going to drop down first parenthesis. Okay, then for our second parenthesis, we're going to distribute the minus sign. Oh, let's just put the symbol there. So, because sometimes I'll say minus, sometimes I'll say negative, because in math, minus and negative mean the same thing. So minus, because it's subtraction, or if you hear me say negative symbol, a negative symbol and a minus symbol are the same. So we're going to distribute the minus symbol to all terms. There we go. And now, last step, we're going to combine like terms. So we have three parts to when we're subtracting. First, we drop down that first parenthesis. Second, we distribute our negative symbol, and then our minus sign. And lastly, we combine our like terms. So let's now see this combining like terms in action. So example 1. So remember, like, just write EX for example. I'm going to rewrite example 1. That way it gives you time to rewrite it too. So we got 8 minus 5p cubed plus 6 minus 6p squared. So first thing, we notice that sign in the middle of those two parentheses is a plus sign. So we'll go back over here to adding, and it says to drop down the first and second parentheses just as they are. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to drop down our 8 minus 5p cubed, drop down our plus sign, and now we're going to say 6 minus 6p squared and combine like terms. So I'm going to start off with my highest exponent. So my p cubed here is my highest exponent. And it's a negative 5p cubed. And we look through right here, there's not any more p cubed, so I just drop him down. So it's going to be a negative 5p cubed. My next highest is p squared. So I have a negative 6p squared. If you look across here, I don't have any other p squared, so he's just going to drop down negative 6p squared. And now I have an 8 and I have a 6. So because those are just numbers without any variables, we can do what we need to do for those. So because 8 plus 6 are both positive, you just put in a calculator, do in your head 8 plus 6, and you get it's going to be a positive 14. There we go. And that's combining like terms. If you notice, the first term I look at underline once, the second term I look at underline twice, the last terms I look at I circle. So that's a little bit of organization for me so I don't lose any terms. So find a way that works best for you. Example 2, we have 6n minus 8n squared minus 4n minus 7n squared. Now, we're going to go back over here. Notice that our sign in the middle is minus. So find our subtracting polynomial rules. And it says for subtracting polynomials, we're going to drop down the first parenthesis and distribute the minus symbol to all terms in that second parenthesis. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're just going to drop down the first one just as it is. So 6n minus 8n squared. Now we're going to distribute this minus symbol to everybody in the second parenthesis. So a negative and a positive 4n make it a negative 4n. A negative and a negative 7n makes it a positive 7n squared. Now one thing to notice is when you distribute a minus symbol, all it does is changes everybody's sign. So he was positive, it made him negative. He was negative, it made him positive. So all you do is change everybody in that second parenthesis signs. And now we're good to combine our like terms. So once again, we'll start with my highest exponent, and that's going to be my n squared. So I have a negative 8n squared, and we look throughout the whole problem, we have another n squared here with a positive 7n squared. So we do negative 8n squared plus, because we always use that sign in front, 7n squared. We get negative 1n squared. Now you can show the 1 there, but some of you all may remember that you don't actually have to show the 1. You can just say negative n squared because there's an implied 1 there. So it's up to you if you want to do that or not. Now my next highest exponent on my variables is just a regular n. So I have a 6n and a minus 4n. So once again, we're just going to add or subtract those coefficients, just the numbers in front. So 6 minus 4 is going to be positive 2n. And we keep the variable there with it. So remember, when we combine like terms, we only add or subtract the coefficients. If you notice, my n squared stayed n squared, and my n just stayed n, because all it does is say, hey, I'm a placeholder. I'm an n squared. I only belong with n squareds. Or, hey, I'm an n. I can only be added with other n's. So do not change your variables' exponents, and remember to, and please write this down, always use the sign in front. So when it comes to combining like terms, always use sign in front. So if it's positive, it's a plus. If it's negative, it's a minus, and vice versa. So always use the sign in front. Now we have just a couple more examples. So for this one, we see that it's a minus in the middle. So we're going to remember to drop down the first parenthesis just as it is, 7n squared plus 7n to the 4th plus 2n cubed. Oh, I said it right and wrote it wrong. Plus 2n cubed. Hopefully you do slightly better with writing here. And now we're going to distribute that negative symbol. So we'll make my 5n cubed a negative 5n cubed. My negative and a negative 7n squared makes it a positive 7n squared. A negative and a negative 5n to the 4th makes that a positive 5n to the 4th. And now we combine our like terms. So we want to find the highest exponent again. It's a positive 7n to the 4th. And down here I have another 5n to the 4th. So we just add those coefficients. 7 plus 5 is 12n to the 4th. Next, my highest is 2n cubed minus 5n cubed. So 2 minus 5 is a negative 3, and n cubed stays with it. My next highest is 7n squared and plus 7n squared. So add those coefficients. 7 plus 7 is 14. And n squared stays with it. And we're all good. And one last one. Example 4. So go ahead and write down that. We have k to the 4th minus 3k plus 6k squared plus 2k minus 4k squared plus 7k to the 4th. So once you write that down, we're going to remember it because it's a plus sign. We're just going to drop down both parentheses with no changes. So k to the 4th minus 3k plus 6k squared. We drop down that plus sign plus 2k minus 4k squared plus 7k to the 4th. So once again, we're going to start with the highest exponent. So if you look across all of these, it's my k to the 4th and plus 7k to the 4th. So we have to remember this guy has a hidden 1 in front of it because I do have 1k to the 4th. Plus 7k to the 4th gives me 8k to the 4th. Now we look through here, my next highest exponent is plus 6k squared minus 4k squared. So we do the coefficients again. So 6 minus 4 is positive 2. And we keep our k squared. And then our last ones are going to be a negative 3k plus 2k. So negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1, and we keep the k with it. We've talked about this before. You don't actually have to show that 1 if you don't want to. And we're all done. That finishes up for combining like terms and adding and subtracting polynomials. Be sure to show all your work on your practice. Thank you.